Last week, a friend of mine told me something that completely changed how I understand attraction. He said, I gave her one compliment, and 3 months later, she told me that was the exact moment she knew she was falling for me. But here's the thing. It wasn't what you think. He didn't tell her she was beautiful. He didn't comment on her body or her smile. What he said was so unexpected, so psychologically powerful, that it rewired her brain's attraction circuits in real time. And the crazy part, most men will go their entire lives without ever discovering what he said or why it worked so devastatingly well. What I'm about to share with you isn't pickup artist theory or manipulation tactics. This is pure psychological science backed by decades of research from Harvard, Stanford, and the world's leading relationship experts. These 3 specific compliments work because they target the exact psychological triggers that create deep, lasting attraction in the female mind. Before we dive in, I need you to understand something crucial. Most men get compliments completely wrong. They focus on the obvious, her appearance, her smile, her beauty. But here's what research from Dr. Helen Fisher, one of the world's leading anthropologists who studied love and attraction for over 3 decades, tells us: women are evolutionarily wired to be attracted to men who can see beyond the surface. They're drawn to men who can recognize and appreciate the deeper, more complex aspects of who they are. This isn't about being fake or manipulative. This is about learning to see and appreciate the things about her that no other man has ever noticed. When you do this correctly, you're not just giving her a compliment. You're giving her an experience. You're making her feel understood in a way that she's never felt before. The first compliment that makes her fall in love instantly is what I call the intelligence recognition compliment. Now, before you think this means telling her you're smart, stop right there. That's amateur level. What I'm talking about is far more sophisticated and psychologically powerful. Dr. Arthur Aron's research at Stony Brook University discovered something fascinating about what creates deep attraction between 2 people. In his famous 36 questions study, he found that the couples who fell in love weren't those who complimented each other's looks or even their obvious talents. They were the couples who recognized and appreciated each other's unique way of thinking. Here's how this works in practice. Instead of saying, "You're smart," you say something like, "I love how your mind works. You see connections that most people completely miss." Or, "The way you just analyzed that situation shows me you have this incredible ability to see the bigger picture while everyone else is focused on the details." Why is this so powerful? Because you're not just acknowledging her intelligence, you're acknowledging her specific type of intelligence. You're telling her that you see how her mind is different, how her thought patterns are unique, how her perspective adds value that no one else can provide. Psychologist Dr. Carol Dweck's research on mindset theory shows us that people are deeply motivated by recognition of their cognitive abilities, especially when that recognition is specific rather than general. When you tell a woman that you appreciate not just that she's intelligent, but how she's intelligent, you're touching something much deeper than surface-level attraction. But here's the key. This has to be genuine. You can't fake recognizing someone's intellectual uniqueness. You have to actually pay attention to how she thinks, how she processes information, how she approaches problems. This is why this compliment is so powerful. It requires you to be present, to be observant, to actually engage with who she is as a person. The neuroscience behind this is fascinating. When someone feels truly understood for their intellectual capabilities, it triggers the release of dopamine in the brain's reward system. But more importantly, it activates what researchers call the self-expansion response, the feeling that being with this person makes you more than you are when you're alone. The second compliment that creates instant deep attraction is the values recognition compliment, This one is based on groundbreaking research from Dr. Shalom Schwartz, whose work on human values has been studied in over 70 countries and represents one of the most comprehensive understandings we have of what drives human behavior. Most men completely miss this. They compliment what she does, but they never compliment who she is at her core. They might say, "You're so kind," or "You're a good person," but that's surface level. What creates deep attraction is when you recognize and articulate the specific values that drive her behavior. Here's what this sounds like in practice. "I noticed how you made sure everyone at the table felt included in the conversation tonight. You have this way of making people feel valued that I rarely see. It tells me you operate from a place of genuine care for others, and that's something really special." Or, "The way you stood up for your friend earlier, even though it was uncomfortable, shows me you have real integrity. You don't just talk about loyalty, you live it, even when it costs you something." Why does this work so powerfully? Because you're acknowledging the deeper driving forces of her personality. You're showing her that you see not just what she does, but why she does it. You're recognizing the core values that make her who she is. Dr. Robert Cialdini's research in his groundbreaking book, Influence, shows us that people are deeply motivated by consistency with their self-image. When you accurately identify and appreciate someone's core values, you're validating their sense of self in the most fundamental way possible. You're telling them that who they choose to be matters and that you see it. But here's what makes this even more powerful from an attraction standpoint. Research from the University of Rochester shows that feeling understood for our values creates what psychologists call intrinsic motivation. The feeling that we want to be around this person not because of what they can do for us, but because of how they make us feel about ourselves. When you give a woman a values recognition compliment, you're not just making her feel good, you're making her feel like the best version of herself. And here's the crucial part. She begins to associate that feeling with you. Her brain starts to connect being around you with feeling valued, understood, and appreciated for who she really is. The key to making this work is specificity and observation. You can't just guess at her values. You have to watch how she behaves, what she prioritizes, what she gets passionate about. Then you connect those behaviors to the deeper values they represent. Now, the third compliment that makes her fall in love instantly is what I call the potential recognition compliment. This one is based on some of the most cutting-edge research in relationship psychology, and it's probably the most powerful of the three because it does something that almost no man ever does. It shows her that you see not just who she is, but who she's becoming. Dr. John Gottman, whose research on relationships is so accurate he can predict with 94% certainty whether a couple will stay together, discovered something remarkable about successful long-term relationships. The couples who thrive aren't just those who appreciate each other as they are. They're the couples who see and support each other's growth and potential. Here's how this compliment works. You identify something she's working on, something she's growing into, something she's becoming, and you acknowledge that growth in a way that shows you believe in her potential. It might sound like, "I've been watching how you've been developing your leadership style at work, and I can see you becoming the kind of leader people don't just follow because they have to, but because they want to. You have this natural ability to inspire people while still being authentic to who you are." Or, "The way you've been approaching your fitness journey isn't just about changing your body. I can see you discovering this inner strength and discipline that's going to serve you in every area of your life. You're becoming someone who doesn't just set goals, but actually achieves them." Why is this so psychologically powerful? Because you're doing something that creates what researchers call relationship investment. You're showing her that you're not just interested in who she is right now. You're invested in who she's becoming. You're positioning yourself as someone who will be part of her growth story, not just someone who wants to benefit from where she is today. Dr. Eli Finkel's research at Northwestern University shows that relationships thrive when partners help each other achieve their ideal self, the person they most want to become. When you give someone a potential recognition compliment, you're actively participating in their self-actualization process. But here's the deeper psychological mechanism at work. When you recognize someone's potential and growth, you're triggering what psychologists call the Pygmalion effect, the phenomenon where people tend to rise to the level of expectations placed on them. By seeing and articulating her potential, you're not just complimenting her, you're actually helping her become that person. From a neuroscience perspective, recognition of potential activates the brain's reward prediction system. It creates excitement about the future and associates that excitement with you. She begins to see you as someone who not only understands her, but actively contributes to her growth and development. The key to making this compliment work is that it has to be based on real observation of actual growth or potential. You can't manufacture this. You have to genuinely notice what she's working on, what she's trying to become, what she's growing into. Then you articulate that growth in a way that shows you believe in her ability to achieve it. Now, here's something crucial about all three of these compliments that most men miss entirely. They work because they're based on what researchers call earned recognition. You're not complimenting her for things she was born with or things that happened to her. You're complimenting her for choices she's made, growth she's achieved, and qualities she's developed. Dr. David Buss's research in evolutionary psychology shows us that women are evolutionarily programmed to be attracted to men who can recognize and appreciate their efforts, choices, and growth. This makes perfect sense from a survival perspective. A partner who notices and values your development is more likely to be a good long-term mate and father. But there's another layer to why these compliments create such deep attraction. They demonstrate what psychologists call theory of mind, the ability to understand that other people have thoughts, feelings, and perspectives different from your own. When you give these types of compliments, you're showing sophisticated emotional intelligence and empathy. Research from Dr. Daniel Goleman, who literally wrote the book on emotional intelligence, shows that people are deeply attracted to those who demonstrate high emotional intelligence. These three compliments all require you to observe, understand, and appreciate complex psychological and emotional dynamics. Here's what you need to understand about timing and delivery. These aren't compliments you drop casually or use as pickup lines. They require investment, observation, and genuine appreciation. The most powerful time to use them is after you've actually spent time getting to know her, observing her behavior, and understanding her personality. The intelligence recognition compliment works best after you've had actual conversations where you've seen how her mind works. The values recognition compliment is most powerful after you've observed her behavior in different situations. The potential recognition compliment requires that you've seen her over time and noticed patterns of growth or development. But here's something that might surprise you. The power of these compliments isn't just in how they make her feel, it's in how they change you. When you start looking for someone's unique intelligence, core values, and growth potential, you become a different kind of man. You become someone who sees depth in people, who appreciates complexity, who values growth and development. This transformation in how you see and appreciate people makes you more attractive not just to her, but to everyone around you. People are drawn to those who see and appreciate the best in them. When you develop the ability to recognize and articulate these deeper qualities, you become the kind of person others want to be around. Dr. Barbara Fredrickson's research on positive emotions shows that when we regularly acknowledge and appreciate the positive qualities in others, we actually rewire our own brains for positivity and connection. We become more attractive people because we're actively looking for and celebrating what's best in those around us. Now let's talk about what makes these compliments different from manipulation or fake flattery. The difference is authenticity and investment. These aren't techniques you use to get something from someone. They're skills you develop to genuinely see and appreciate the complexity and beauty of human beings. When you truly see someone's unique intelligence, when you genuinely appreciate their core values, when you authentically recognize their growth and potential, that's not manipulation. That's connection. That's the foundation of real attraction and real love. Research from Dr. Sue Johnson, whose work on attachment theory has revolutionized our understanding of relationships, shows that lasting attraction is built on what she calls secure emotional connection. This happens when people feel truly seen, understood, and appreciated for who they really are. These three compliments create that secure emotional connection because they show that you see her completely, her mind, her heart, and her potential. You're not just attracted to her surface qualities, you're attracted to the fullness of who she is and who she's becoming. But here's the most important part. For these compliments to work, they have to be true. You can't fake recognizing someone's intelligence, values, or potential. You either see these qualities or you don't. This is why developing your ability to observe and appreciate these deeper qualities is so important. Start practicing this skill in all your relationships. Look for the unique intelligence in your friends, the core values that drive your family members, the growth and potential you see in your colleagues. The more you develop this ability to see and appreciate depth in people, the more natural and authentic these compliments will become. When you meet a woman you're attracted to, don't immediately start looking for opportunities to use these compliments. Instead, start genuinely trying to understand how her mind works, what values drive her behavior, and what she's working to become. The compliments will flow naturally from that genuine understanding and appreciation. Remember, the goal isn't just to make her fall in love with you. The goal is to become the kind of man who sees and appreciates the depth and complexity of human beings. When you do that, attraction becomes natural, relationships become deeper, and love becomes more real. These three compliments work because they're based on fundamental truths about human psychology and attraction. We're all drawn to people who see us clearly, appreciate us deeply, and believe in our potential. When you learn to give these types of compliments authentically, you're not just using a technique, you're developing a superpower. The ability to see and appreciate the intelligence, values, and potential in others will transform not just your romantic relationships, but every relationship in your life. People will be drawn to you because being around you makes them feel like the best version of themselves. So start today. Look for the unique intelligence in the people around you. Notice the values that drive their behavior. See the growth and potential that others miss. Practice articulating these observations in genuine, specific compliments. Develop your ability to see and appreciate depth. When you do this consistently, something magical happens. You become the kind of person others want to be around. You become someone who adds value to every interaction. You become attractive not because of what you say or do, but because of who you are and how you make others feel about themselves. That's the real secret behind these three compliments. They're not just words, they're a way of being in the world. They're a commitment to seeing and celebrating the best in others. And when you live this way, love isn't something you have to chase or convince someone to feel. Love becomes the natural result of truly seeing and appreciating another human being. These compliments make her fall in love instantly, not because they're magic words, but because they represent something she's been searching for her entire life. Someone who truly sees her, understands her, and believes in her. When you become that person, attraction isn't a question, it's inevitable.